I have been spearfishing for about 10 to 15 years now, and I have experienced a lot over that time. I've had a lot of scares and a lot of close calls. This video here in particular was probably one of my most freaky moments, and it could have taken a very bad turn. From this though, I have learnt a lot, and I'll share with you my mistakes. Hopefully you are aware of it and things like this don't happen to you. This trip did start off with an all-time high. We got to the shoals from Boyne Island, jumped in the water, and it was crystal clean. It was epic. When you have water like that to start off, you know it's going to be a good day. We drifted for about 15 minutes and in comes a massive school of Spanos. These things were probably around the 10 to 15, mostly around the 10 kilo range. There was heaps of them. They weren't really our target species. We were more chasing reef fish, so we didn't bother taking these here. They kept teasing us by swimming around us non-stop, and we couldn't resist. In the end, Johan shot himself a nice Spano. Here, he got down, staying nice and calm, just allowing those fish to come into him. If you swim after them hard, generally they do spook, especially in the schools. Sometimes it's better to sit and let them come to you. Here he slowly raises his gun out, but unfortunately that school does pop away. One comes in close enough and he takes that shot. I can tell you one thing, there is definitely not a shortage of Spanish mackerel here in Queensland. We dangled that Spanish mackerel about 5 meters under us. This creates a bit of attention in the water, I guess, and it gets the interest of some bigger fish. Sadly, in this case, no bigger fish rocked up. After that, I dropped down, strummed my rubbers, and that school came straight back around. They swam up to me nice and close. I look around, try to take my pick for the biggest fish. Eventually I lock eyes with the mackerel that I want. I raised my head a little higher and seen that school just come flying back under me. Even when you get a good shot into the spine, they still have enough fight in them that they can still kick their tail along. Even with that tail just vibrating back and forth, it makes it incredibly challenging to pull these up, which is quite surprising. The reef over this shoal isn't too amazing. Most of the time you're drifting along and there's not too much reef. When it's shallow and you have clean visibility like it is here, you find a nice bommie on the surface and then you dive down hoping that you can have a look under that bommie. Johan went down here about 15 meters, took a shot under a coral. I see that he's down there wiggling around, trying to pull something out. Eventually he comes out with not one, but two crayfish. That was about it from this trip. There was a storm coming in and the waves got pretty hectic not too long after that. We packed up, went home and came out the next day. First drop of the day was on a Wonky hole. Here I was hoping to find myself a red emperor or a nanagai, ladybrim, cod and little bait fish. None of the target species. We went back to the islands and it didn't take too long before a decent trout showed up. I line him up, then he just kicks off and slowly makes his way further and further away. I'm just making sure I get a good shot, and when I'm confident with it, I pull the trigger. Next up, I get near the bottom, scanning in between all the bait, and under me, I found a tuskfish. I slowly turn and raise my gun at it, pull the trigger, and boom. This here was the main event. I seen a couple Spanos from the surface, dived down and took a shot into a 10 kilo fish, I would say. It took off slightly, done a few big head shakes. I fought the mackerel for about 2 minutes and then I was able to get that fish into my hands. When you get them close to you, they tend to swim in circles very high in the water column, and that actually starts entangling all your line. Line management is what you have to be on top of. Here it wasn't too bad, but I definitely should have been paying more attention. When that was in my hand, I threw the guts in the water, hoping to attract another fish. On my swim back to the boat, a massive bronze whaler just came charging in. It flicked probably 3 meters in front of me and then turned off. When I find myself in a situation like this, I keep my gun close so I can poke that shark if I need to. In last resort, ideally, you want to hold that fish on you and swim to the boat. The second they get a taste of that fish is usually when it becomes a feeding frenzy. I was swimming back to the boat for about a minute and this 4.5 meter bronzy just kept stalking me the whole way there. I kinda like situations like this. It gives you a rush like no other. I thought, you know what? I am gonna drop this mackie down on my line just a couple meters under and try get some footage of this shark. I dropped the fish down a bit, the shark done a turn, and I'll just let the footage take it from here. If you didn't pick up why this here is such a bad situation, let me break it down for you. I seen that shark come in. I had, at this point I believe, just one loop of line around my body, also holding the line in my hand, and then you can see 2 loops around my spear gun. If your line gets entangled around your body, it can pull tight and then lock up your legs so you cannot swim, or worse, it can pull your arms together and you can't move your arms. Next thing, they will pull you straight under. The worst thing was, I knew that line was around my body, yet I'd done nothing about it. The shark takes its second hit, that line pulls tight and it all goes to shit. I had multiple loops around my hand that luckily managed to slide free. Loop around my leg, loop around my gun. Luckily, that line snapped at the last minute. I instantly knew I was in trouble. That second loop on my right hand was an issue. I let go of my gun, pulled that line off my other hand, another loop got caught. I tried to feed that line over my fin as best as I could, and that's when the line snapped. If that line didn't snap, at that point it would have dragged me under. Just a reminder to all you Spearos out there, always keep an eye on that line. This next trip was a bit more chilled. I dropped down into a school of Spanos, took my pick for the biggest one and got a good shot into it. That thing took off. I threw the Mackie into the boat and had the next drop down. Seen a trout in front of me, but I was looking for something bigger. Nothing was around, so I decided I'll go for the trout. Dropped down on a big patch of seaweed and there was some really big spangled emperor. I managed to get a shot into one. It was a long shot, but just managed to hit that fish.
Yeah, true.
It was like 3 times the size of that, eh?
Holy shit.
Massive. I was like...
Reset the drift and I found a pretty big orange spot sea perch. These fish are pretty rare to come across. Usually they hide over big patches of reef in the middle of the shoal where there's heaps of bait, but here it was just around a isolated bommy. This next trip we are hunting closer to the coast. Brendan has sounded up a couple bits of reef out here, and we just dive in these couple patches. On these you generally find a fair few crayfish because no other spearfisherman has been to one of these before, and also a few Spanos and tuskies. It's about 10 to 12 meters deep here, and the amount of bait is incredible. There's just a massive wall of them, and it's no surprise that mackerel are here. Eventually I found my first victim. It would have been around 10 kilo maybe. I lined it up in the cheeks, took a shot, and it ripped out right there. This next drop was pretty cool. I got down, seen a half alright tusky, but I was umming and ahhing if I should take it or not. Eventually, I see two antennas under me of a crayfish. So I thought, you know what, let's grab the cray. Got that thing by the solid horns at the front, picked up my gun, and I pulled my eyes to another crayfish under the rock. I swam to it, didn't even attempt it. I was down for a little bit and just ran out of oxygen, so I went back to the surface. Got that into the boat, and I found a olive sea snake checking out my fins. This next trip we're back out on Wonky holes. The water was fairly dirty on the surface. Me and Jake decided to go for a drop at the same time. That line looking thing that's coming off his leg is just a shark shield. We generally use that in dirty waters. Just makes you feel that little bit more comfortable in the water. This here, just a V looking mud bait, I guess you can call it. Held a bit of bait, but nothing what we're chasing. Moved over to the next hole, and this time I swam a little bit closer to it, which is pretty cool to see. There's a little bit of coral inside that hole, and all those little bits of black are bait fish. These were pretty quiet, just cod and the odd slaty brim on them. We moved spots to a bit of reef that I found. I dropped down, my blind ass didn't even see that tusky. Funny enough, I was looking around, seen some trevally, and it passes a second time, where I also didn't see it. Turned my head a little bit more, and lucky enough, there was a bigger tusky. I end up swimming after that fish. It turns into me and then swims away. I call it to turn around, and it did. I hit it and it went ballistic, just swimming around in circles trying to wrap me around the reef. Luckily it didn't wrap me around any coral. Here I was just powering up to the surface as quick as I could at the start, just to make sure that it doesn't have a second chance at getting into the reef. Once I'm up about halfway, I can then just start to relax and swim it back up slowly. Later during the day, I got down, turned my head and seen a really nice trout. Lined him up perfectly, got a pretty solid shot into it. Funny enough, as I was reeling in that line, I seen a really big cod come up and check out the action. It stared at it for about 5 seconds and then swam back off into the deep. This here is a donkey bar-cheeked trout. I threw that trout into the boat, got him in the esky, and then continued to dive. Not too long after, I found a couple cod. This little one sitting in front of me, and then there's a bigger one behind him. That white you see on him is from another Spearo who has shot him in the past. I got onto another trout, and what happened next was pretty cool. As I start reeling in that fish, I seen a little white dot in that right hand corner. As it gets closer and closer, I realise it's an olive sea snake. It comes in and checks out the trout. I just dangle it there under me. It looks at it for a couple more seconds, having a crack at its tail, and then swims back down. Once again, we are back hunting in some pretty dirty water. This place was absolutely loaded with fish, and I managed to find a orange spot sea perch.
Why am I not surprised? Yeah. I seen it, and like you turn around like trying to make noise too. Ah, for f***'s sake. Oh, do you still want to dive here? It looks like a ground. We'll just keep diving together.
I'd done a drop next to a big ledge, turned left, didn't see anything, as I turn my head to the right, I seen a pretty nice trout cruising around. Slowly pull my gun out, try not to spook it, pull the trigger. Even though it didn't quite get under the ledge, my spear still got stuck and that fish was just hanging down there. I bet you can guess what happens next. Seeing a big tusky from the surface, duck dive down. As it swims off, I pull a Hail Mary shot into it.
Drop. Recent smallmouth nutties and massive cod. A red that might have been size, probably under. Yeah, the viz isn't too bad, but it's not great.
This is the last drop for the episode. Found myself a nice trout. It spooked, but still stayed in range. Eventually, I pulled the trigger on it and landed another nice trout. That's about it. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe and check out the other videos.